Hi, I'm Christine.
I'm Jamie.
We are here for Glow Part 2.
A little update on the sketch.
Yeah, so we've been really behind. So if there's anyone that's following along and it's like, gals, this is not the schedule you promised. You're right.
Yep, it's not.
You're right. I was very hopeful that somehow we could live our lives and go through like a super busy time in both of our work lives.
Yeah.
It's also the start of the school year, transition. It was just a busy time.
Yeah. The school part doesn't affect me, but just it's a busy time work-wise for me. It's mine's crazy time of year. So yeah, reading like full-on books has been hard. And just even scheduling to record has been also hard.
Well, yeah, we got to read the books, and then we got to think about what do we want to talk about with the books. That takes time. And then we have to actually find a time in our schedule for us to meet, which is it's been so hard. Yeah. So I think October and November is going to be a lot easier for us. The point of us telling you this is because we are trying to do our Play to Prisoner series reread, and we're finishing it a little bit late. Yeah, but we're still not that late. No, but we're going to be finishing that up. But one of the things that Jamie and I spoke about is after we're done Gold, we're going to get into A Court of Wings and Ruin. Yeah. By Sarah J. Maas. So we're going to go back into the S.J. Maas universe again. And then as we read Goldfinch, and we got our Goldfinch books today.
We did. It's a very exciting day. And I'm like, I just want to actually read it. And I can't.
I know you can't.
Because I have to finish Gold still.
We got to finish Gold, and then we're going to try and do the podcast where we don't read past the chapters that we're going to be talking about on the podcast.
Which is going to be so hard.
It's going to be really hard, and it's going to be extra hard now because our plan is that we're going to get back into A Court of Wings and Ruin more consistently. So that's going to be our weekly podcast, and then our Goldfinch episodes are going to be sprinkled in when we have time. Yeah. When we have extra time. Right, so when we have time to meet, when we have time to edit, so we will get it done before the new year, but we have to just leave that one up in the air because trying to fit it all in is too hard.
Right, we're really focused on those Christmas drinks.
Well, and this is what it all comes down to, because we want to do what is it called, a quart of something in Starlight. Yeah. Wow, look at us, Frost and Starlight. Yep. So we want to do a quart of Frost and Starlight during the winter season, during the Christmas season, the holiday season.
Which makes sense.
So that's why we're trying to fit it all in. So all of this is in service of us being able to do Christmas drinks, and it'll be worth it.
Yes.
It'll be worth it.
Especially for us, those Christmas drinks.
That's why we need to get A Court of Wings and Ruin in.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
So that's the plan. It's going to happen. That is the plan, Stan. Mm. Anyway.
Tell us about this drink.
This was a journey.
Yeah.
This was a journey, and you should have reminded me to stop trying so hard. We talked about this last time.
But, I mean, you win cocktails that way, so...
Okay.
I need to try harder.
Well, this one didn't work out like I wanted it to. And it isn't because of the recipe. What I originally tried to do is make the drink look like there was lines running through it. Like, if you've ever seen, like, a chocolate cocktail with like chocolate syrup running at the bottom and then the drink is over top of it. It looks like squiggly swirls. Yeah. So I tried to do that with like a blackberry syrup so it would look like Slade's rot going through the drink, and then there would be a gold drink on top of it to represent their magic combining, because there is his rot going through her gold at the end of this book that everybody notices, right?
Great concept.
Yeah, it is a great concept, and it didn't work for whatever reason.
It looks so sad when you look at it now. You say like that's.
I tried to do it with syrup. I tried to do it with jam, and it just like did not sit in the glass.
Should this be mixed now?
No.
Oh.
So instead what I did is I just put the blackberry syrup at the bottom of the drink, and then we have our orange drink.
I forgot it was an orange drink.
It's an orange drink. So hopefully that tastes well together. But the original recipe is an orange-sicle recipe.
Mm-hmm. Right, yes.
I kind of just looked at a bunch of recipes and then came up with my own. So I used fresh orange juice, simple syrup, coconut milk, But if you're making this, you could also use half and half. A vanilla almond milk. I chose coconut milk. And, I used triple sec, which is an orange liqueur. And I used vodka and a little bit of orange bitters. Yeah, and that is it. And then there is a blackberry syrup on the bottom. So I don't know how that's going to drink, but...
Well, we're about to find out.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, it smells great when you go to...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to drink the blackberry syrup with it. Maybe eventually we'll drink. Okay.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, yeah.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
And milky.
It's supposed to be an orangesicle.
It does. Like, it's very much that, though.
That's what
I
it
feel
tastes
like if you love orangesicle things, you'll love this. Me, not so much. I'm not a big fan of orangesicle.
I'm not either. I was just trying something new.
No, I know. I feel like you did what it tastes what it should taste like.
Yes. I did the job.
Yeah. Like, it does taste good. Just my least favorite alcohol things are like super sweet and milk.
You're welcome then.
Yeah.
All right. What do you rate it?
A 6.
Oh, that's higher than I thought it was going to be.
Because, I mean, it is good.
Yeah.
It's a good job. It's just not my favorite.
No, it's not what I would pick when I go to have a cocktail.
Yeah.
Well, I tried it out.
You're doing better than mine.
I would probably give it like a 5 or a 5.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it deserves a 6. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Still better than half the ones I've made for these books.
Oh, we're learning. We're learning and
Yes.
we're growing.
Yes. So
And we're
true.
thriving sometimes.
Yeah. So we are doing chapter 37 to the end.
There's a lot that happens.
Yes. Which I feel like has kind of, well, most books, the second half's always,
Yeah.
right?
The cool thing, I liked where I stopped it, like, because we obviously had to decide part 1 and part 2.
You decided, yes.
I decided. So I did like that part 2, we're starting with the backstory of the rip.
Yes.
We actually get to understand how that rip happened. Because there was that big revelation. Oh, his name is Rip because he made the rip.
You mean a rip in the world.
But how did it happen? And we get this background with his family.
Yeah.
Obviously, we got the tidbits in the first half about just where he comes from and who his parents are.
Yeah.
But now we get the drama.
It's so dramatic. It's so sad. I also have, like, this whole scene would just make such a good movie part. Right? Like the crying and the action and the drama.
Yeah, Stanton is being a big meanie like he usually is.
It's his character. So finds out that his mother has been having an affair with one of the servants, Jack.
Jack. He seems like a nice man.
Even just Jack, that name. I'm like, you seem really sweet.
That's a good pick for that name. It definitely fit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you want to do the quote? So the first one is Stanton talking.
So Stanton says, Slade didn't know. The truth is right there in the disgust on his face.
You're right, I didn't know. But if there's disgust on my expression, it's not for her, it's for you. And then later he thinks, if he thinks I would ever take his side over hers, then he doesn't know me at all. And then he mocks his father and says, control, father.
Oh, yeah, funny, but not funny.
Yeah, it's funny but not funny because he's just so angry with how his dad is treating his mom that he uses his words against him that he used with Slade when he was, trying to train him with his magic. So he's telling him to control himself, basically like, you're being emotional, even though you told me I was being emotional. And
and
Stanton doesn't like it.
No. And I also do like during that interaction, he does say to his father, why wouldn't she seek affection from someone else? You treat her like garbage. I was like, yes! 15-year-old Slade.
Yeah, and it really shows how his mom has shaped his moral compass, where he just isn't like, oh, you having an affair, which some people might be really black and white about, like, oh, you're the bad guy.
You're married,
you're
not supposed to do that.
He actually has the emotional intelligence where he's able to go like, oh yeah, that makes sense that she would. You're very mean.
Yeah.
Right? It makes sense that she would go cope and have this
Yeah.
actually like really loving relationship with someone else, and why would you think I would just take your side when you treat all of us like garbage?
Yeah.
Actually, that doesn't make sense to me.
And I think it does like kind of show him, like, it flashes back in his mind all the interactions that he's seen with her and Jack and how kind he always was to her.
Yeah.
And
how Jack is protecting his mom, even though Jack is an Orion with no magic, which makes him really vulnerable to stand-in, but he's protecting his mom nonetheless, even though he probably knows what the consequences are.
And
it was really sweet.
Yeah. It was so sad. So then Riot wakes up, and I think Stanton has, like, hurt him at this point, like, hurt Jack. And then Riot just yells, "Dad!" and runs over to Jack. And I remember when I was, like, reading it, I was like, oh, this is like Maury.
Well, it's a bit more wholesome than that.
Yeah, so find out they've been having an affair for 11 years. Riot's 11 or 10 or something at this point. I also love that he knew that that was his dad.
Yeah, well, exactly. And we don't get more of that story, but it is really interesting that Riot knew it the whole time and kept that secret.
Yeah.
That's a big secret for you to
a
keep.
Kid. And to not mention it to Slade, even.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Then there's just one part I also had where stupid Stanton looks at Allure and says, "I want you to remember this, Allure. Remember that this is what you get for betraying me." Kills Jack. I was like, oh, that's so something like Midas would say. Like, this is your fault.
Right.
You know, like...
Not saying their part in...
Yeah. You are making me murder this man.
Right.
This isn't my fault. It's all you.
Yeah.
Like how Midas did that with Digby with Orin. Him and Midas probably would have gone around.
That's called not taking responsibility for your actions. All I have is just that their power goes up against each other, right? So Slade is willing to fight his father to the death. Like, he's so angry, he's at his breaking point. It was like, I'd rather die than let you...
Like, hurt my mother and...
Yeah, let you win, basically.
Yeah.
Right? There's all these people that are vulnerable, and who knows what he would have done if Slade didn't stand up to him. So then their magic kind of goes head to head. But
I do like that you had that it's very Harry and Voldemort, because that also is what I kind of pictured in my head.
That's exactly what I pictured. Yeah, the scene between Harry Potter and Voldemort, and they're holding their power. That's yeah. But with them, it created a rip in the world that did not happen for Harry and Voldemort.
No,
but that's how the rip was created.
Brings half of them through, and I do actually like when he's like explaining this to her at one point or something, and she's like realizing, like, oh shit, like, you're like actually really powerful, and she says something, he goes like, "Have I dazzled you, my lady?" You're so funny, Rep.
But it does make Orin think about how she got there, because she doesn't know how she got from Anwin to Aurea. She doesn't remember that.
This time, the whole time reading it, the first time I read it, this has always bugged me the entire time.
So my assumption is that eventually we will learn it.
Well, I hope so, or I'm going to be pissed.
Or else, that'll be a real thing that's left undone in this series. Yeah. I hope that we learn that. Okay, so then in terms of... Because what we know, too, is that Allure, when she came through, she lost her ability to speak, or she only speaks a little, and she, it did something to her to go through that rip.
I also do like that she, like, almost gets her approval.
Oh, I like that scene too. Yeah, I have that somewhere too. Cause I like that scene. Yeah. And I think that's what she has her hand on Orin's cheek, and then as she has her hands on Orin's cheek, she looks to Slade, and Slade says, "I know." Yeah. That was really cute. Yeah. Do you want to talk about how they learned all these, or Rip just like tells her all these things, and then they just go into like an oral sex scene? I don't know if you wrote anything about that.
I did, but I didn't really think of that as that, because I think because she kind of goes into it like, you've opened up to me, I can open up to you, because she hasn't let him like see her back or do anything with it.
I'm not judging them. I'm just saying, I think in my initial reads, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's probably what I want to be. Like, you are opening up to me.
Let's
being sensitive.
Get naked.
I know what I want to do now.
Yeah.
Go back to those hot springs.
But do you know what I'll give Raven Kennedy credit for? Is this ability to write sex scenes where it also has so much depth and emotion.
Right? So...
Right, because there is with romantasy books where it's just like the smut is in there, and sometimes you just want that when you're reading a book and it's not like too thought out is the wrong word. It's not too deep. It's just
no,
like,
it's just
hey,
smut, like it is.
We're maybe it's insta love. We're just attracted to each other, and it's just hot, and it's just a part of the book, and it like feels good and whatever.
Which is great.
Which has its place, but this shows how to make a sex scene and have it feel like very emotionally charged. And I think of even those scenes with Midas, like that's a sex scene that she was able to make feel so different.
Yeah.
And to be able to show the comparison of Oren's having sex with Midas versus her experiences with Slade, and how different that is, and how she's able to lead with her own desires and feel empowered even when she's on her knees, which I did.
I wrote that down. I loved that you can, when you're safe and when you're with the right person, it can be powerful to be still in that position. And I think even with the sex scenes with the two of them, he's very vocal about if it's too much. I think that's also just really great for people to like read and know. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I think it also made a big difference because this was not something that he asked for. I assume knowing because of her experiences with coerced sex, or just being in that abusive dynamic with Midas, and then also being a sex worker not of her own choice. Like, there's obviously going to be a sensitivity to those experiences, but he didn't ask for it. It was something that she wanted to give, and he still like...
Yeah, like, I want to do this, and... But you're, completely right. She does all of that, like, very well. And they also always have great talks when they are having sex.
Right.
Like,
He's kissing her ribbons. Right. It's, like, loving, but also, like, aggressively...
And...
like...
Right, and he says, I see you, Goldfinch, and she says, I see you too, Rip, and... I think, one of the quotes was like, if you're with the right person, but whatever, but.
And I think that's what makes me able to accept Slade's, like, aggressiveness in terms of, like, the way he talks about sex with her.
Yeah.
In the moment, right? Is because he also, there's all those other moments around it where he's so loving. Mm-hmm. That it doesn't feel so aggressive.
Yes. Good job, Raven. Oh, and then at the end she goes, this is it, isn't it? This is real love. Yes, Oren, this is love. Oh,
this is love. Now let's penetrate all our orifices.
Well, this was after.
Yeah, but then they continued on. Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you have anything like about the village?
About them going to town? Yeah.
Yeah. So they do go to the village. There's some really rude people there. But the best part is that they then get into the carriage to go back, and he tells everyone to go ahead. And she's kind of just going off, and she's like, for 20 years, I've been beneath the will of another. What if I just want to leave to escape the bullshit? Just kind of goes that to, like, climb a mountain, practice music, get a job somewhere, build something, get a pet, go flirt in a pub, swim naked in the sea, go dancing, make a friend, kiss a stranger. Maybe that's what I want. And that he's kind of like, yeah, like, I'll support all of that. I'll be there right with you while you do all those things. But, like, it's still me and you. Then it's just a great sex scene after that. Because then the window's kind of open, so and she's into it. And I love it. And then he's just pretty much again telling her, like, I'll support you in all of this. And
yeah, but also you're not getting rid of me.
Yes. You're not getting rid of me, but I will 100% come with you.
Whatever you want to do, you can do.
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie, I'm going to back you up a little bit because we are in a new environment.
Right.
Even though we are midway through the book, Slade brings us to Brackhill. So we are no longer in Drollard Village. We are now in Brackhill. And I do like the castle description.
Same. I would live here.
Okay, because I was thinking...
This is probably where I would live out of all these places.
Okay, good. And I was going to do a whole thing of like, oh, which castle would you live in? But I think it's pretty obvious. Like when we think about the 4th and the 5th and the 6th, obviously this is the best one.
Yeah.
So some of the descriptions are curved wood, bubbled glass, There's a moat around it. What?
Who wants a castle if there is not a moat?
There's mountains in the back, arched windows, thinly pitched wood that reminded Orin of a musical instrument complete with curved hollows and the daintiest of copper strings pulled from the points in the middle of the ceiling, leading down to a draped tapestry to the arched windows. What?
I love it. And the weather seems like very normal that I could deal with it.
The weather seems doable,
Yeah,
right? It's not too hot, not too cold. Mm-hmm. There's rivers running through the city.
Yeah.
There's waterfalls. There's a lake where there's lots of fishing, but you also can see the mountains.
It is very Canadian.
Like,
okay.
But they go to the city. They go to a tavern, which is kind of was my favorite scenario.
Yeah, it was
right?
just fun. It was fun to have that little...
Let's get a bucket of beer.
Yeah.
And some greasy food and sit with some friends that in a noisy tavern.
And then go shop in the market after.
And then go shopping and buy things that you'll regret later.
Yes.
That sounds wonderful.
Right? Can't ask for a better day.
That's a perfect day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't go that way for Orin, but
no.
that's the goal. That is the goal. But at least Lou and Judd were funny.
Right? They were great. Oh, the hattery.
I think the only quote that I had from when they went out was when Judd was asking Orin if she wants to go to the hattery.
Hattery, Orin.
And Lou says, does she look like she wants a frilly hat? And she kept trying to trip him, which was funny too. That made me laugh, even though it's like so juvenile, but it's funny to me. But both of us had written down Lou and Judd quotes because they had so many funny moments.
They really did.
But yeah, do you want to talk about like their reaction to
finding out that Orin knows about the rip?
About the rip, yeah.
I think it was Judd saying, bit of a show off making a whole ass rip in the world.
Mm-hmm. And so then they were talking about how it was fun to make up those rip rumors.
Which I agree, it would be really fun.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
And they sound pretty good at it. So Lou says, like, he got the name for ripping people's heads off in battles.
Or having ripped muscles. The woman loved that one.
Rest in peace.
Ripping people a new one.
Being a rip-off.
Ripping through lives. Or ripping some nasty ass fart. Obviously he's gonna say fart.
He was. Which was the funniest one.
Also, I haven't been able to get window coverings, or just haven't done it upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally have those Halloween stones in my window. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
No? Are you being sarcastic?
Like the R.I.P. stones?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tombstones.
Yes. But now, every time I see it, like R.I.P., all I think of is RIP.
Yeah.
Like I'm not actually seeing it for what it is.
Oh, you know something funny? When I was coming up to your house today, I saw Judy Garland in the window.
Oh.
Because you have your big Wizard of Oz poster, and I thought it was your face, and I thought it was you looking out the window at me.
We do look alike. Me and Judy.
Kind of do.
I know.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the book.
Yes, okay.
And I scared myself. I'm beginning, as I get older, and I'm just going to keep bringing up how old I am. As I get older, I just keep, I'm like such a scaredy cat now. Like I get scared so easily.
Right? It's so weird.
Like how Mom gets really scared about my Michael Myers sticker on my window.
Oh, I mean, that freaks me out sometimes too, but it probably scares her way more.
Okay, anyway. Lou, when they're talking about, like, what are we gonna do?
And everyone's arguing, and all the men are arguing.
Yeah. What are we gonna do about the conflicts? What is our plan?
Yeah, and they're just all trying to talk at once, and then Lou finally jumps up on the table and says, I need you to all tuck your dicks in for a second and try to think rationally. Like a woman. It's just such a great line. So good.
I really want to use that again, and I'm not sure what part of my life would have the right context for it.
Right?
Like, I'm like, okay, I can't say that to my kids. I can't say it at work. So, like, do I need to get in a fight with a friend? Do I need to go to the mall and get in a fight with a stranger?
Right? Oh, too bad you just didn't have all boys.
Right.
Then you could wait for them to become tea. We should tell Corey she can use it.
Okay, I'll go to her house.
Yell at her
And
children
I'm like,
and
hey,
husband.
you need all... I need you all to tuck your dicks in for a second. And think for a minute like a woman.
Like, oh, and then just run out.
Yeah, she's gonna get out of my house.
Yeah, what's happening?
All I wrote down for menu was menu dinner. Because I didn't really have anything to say, and I don't know if that was because it wasn't that eventful or I was just mad at him.
Yeah, I was just like, you're being annoying and you're being stupid and you're trying to say all these good things and just like, no.
Well, he's doing his job, right? He's like manipulating words and he's being a politician about it.
Yeah, and I love how they're like trying to be nice and he's like all being nice and talking to Oren and asking her questions and Slade's like, okay.
Yeah, let's
just
cut,
get to
let's
the
cut
point.
the shit.
And then he goes, Oren's being charged with this and this after he's just trying to have like pleasant conversation with her.
Mm-hmm. And
that they're also charging her with the murder of, well, I forgot his kid, King Nevin? The baby king.
You know it.
The child king.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, what? And then they also do bring up, like, his advisors bring up a good point. They're like, Kate, but King Falk died and nothing happened.
Yeah, nobody questioned it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just kind of annoyed with the whole thing and...
But the thing with people in power is like you don't really have to have an explanation.
No, as long as you have enough people backing you, then
yeah. And that's what we'll get to. Okay, a few things before we get to the ending. Let's talk about. Do you want to get into Osric?
Do you want to get into Oren?
Oh, we didn't even get into Oren.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, let's bring it back to Oren. Obviously, during this time, she's getting a lot better with her magic. Like, being able to call to her magic, recall it. So, like, when the gold starts to seep out, her ability to bring it back in and control it a lot more. Yeah. And so that's really cool.
Yeah, and she's finally able to, I think Slade puts the gloves in his pocket, which is great.
Yeah.
Because she can now go out in the daytime and not worry about murdering and gilding everything. I do really enjoy, which you have here about... when he wakes up and can't find her.
Oh, yeah.
Which I love
I did
this
really
scene.
love this. I didn't write down the actual quote, but I do just think to note that scene that Digby... It's so interesting that their relationship was so distant for so long, where Digby was just, like, there, and he kept his sort of boundaries, where he didn't talk with her too much, he didn't get to know her, he really made sure that he wasn't close to her so that he could... protect her, because if he got too close, then Midas wouldn't let him do that. And so, but it showed that he observed a lot.
Yes,
and he understood.
He did really actually get to know her, even though they didn't.
Yeah.
Tons of communication.
And so this scene really reflected that.
Yeah, like they're looking all over, and he's like, pretty much like, you guys are all idiots. Like, where do you think she is? Hey,
dummy! She's been locked in a cage for 10 years. Yeah. She's out in the sun. They woke him up from his sleep. It's like, get out of here.
I think he said something to, like, Slade about, like, I thought you would know better or something.
I do like that, even though they're, like, so in love, like, her and Slade and stuff, that Digby's still like, oh, yeah, you like her? You think you know her?
Yeah. Not like I do, okay?
Sounds like you don't. You want to protect her? You're not doing it. Like, he just, like, calls him out.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, brings him down a notch. And I imagine Digby being, a man of his age that is in shape. But I also imagine Slade being, like, this big, intimidating man. So I do like the visual of Digby telling him off, too, in that case.
Yes,
that
and he
makes
does
me
it
laugh.
a lot.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. So he does find her on the roof, lying. And she says, she's singing to me.
And what does she sing, Goldfinch?
The song of home. The sun is singing the song of home.
Yeah, this was a cool scene.
Right?
It's like just her relationship with the sun, that it gives her energy.
Yeah. And I do like that he thinks in his mind, but my song of home doesn't come from the sun. Mine comes from her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah, you like her. We know.
Yeah, it's just a really, like, beautiful scene to just, like, she's finally able to be out in the daytime and be in the sun. And
yeah, and especially being in the Sixth Kingdom, where even when she had windows, she couldn't really see out the windows because it's all blizzard. So just her being in the sun is making her feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about those points. Raven Kennedy has pointed these things out, and we've talked about just the symbolism of the sun and Orin and the sun and her power. I wonder if that'll have even more significance in the last book. I don't know. Or maybe that's it.
We are going to find out eventually, so...
Okay, as we talk about Orin too, there was a favorite part of mine, and this might be my favorite quote in the series.
This was also the one that I had where I said, I was like, we need to do this one because
it's important.
I remember the first time reading it, it was one of the only things I was like, yes.
Okay, before this, and this isn't just in reference to this quote, there was just a whole segment of the book where Orin was just giving these answers to Slade that were like, oh my god, how emotionally mature are you? And, like, I wrote, like, are you a therapist? Because she just, like, had the perfect answers.
Yeah.
Which obviously came from her really hard experiences, but just her ability to be positive and, like, look at things in a certain way. It was
Bright
like...
side.
Yeah, she's really good at it. But do you want to say what Slade says?
Yes. So Slade says, here I am, complaining that I miss someone. So he's talked about his mother, just for reference. But here I am, complaining that I miss someone who's just a door away. Well, you were stolen from your parents at such a young age. I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry? One person's pain doesn't negate another's. Our heartaches are not competition, but the bridge to empathy. So we can look at one another and know that on some level we understand. That's one beautiful thing about grief, I think, that sometimes we can find someone in the world to look at from the other side of the bridge of our torments and know that we are not alone. Oh,
what?
Come on.
Warren, did you just make that up?
But that's so true. I think people get really self-conscious and they can talk dismissive of themselves and their own pain because they're like, oh yeah, but my pain isn't as bad as theirs pain, or they've been through way more than I've been through. And it's like, it doesn't matter.
No.
And even if your pain is less than their pain, like, your pain still exists and is important, and maybe that can just make us all, like, more connected rather than be in competition. Yeah.
And I did recently have, like, a few days ago, a friend do that where we were talking about, like, a bigger kind of experience, and then she's kind of like, well, like, I can't compare it to, like, yours and blank person. Like, that's so much more. I'm like, okay, that still doesn't make it any less. I was like, your experience was still just as big for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is, like, so many people do that. No need.
So it's a very relatable quote that I think everyone needs to hear. Okay, do you want to move on to Osric and Risa before we move on to the ending?
I didn't even really have anything for Osric and Risa.
Yeah, and it wasn't too much, but I think there was this scene where Risa approaches him, and I don't have the right words. Like, I wrote down making a pass, but she prepositions him, like, okay,
she's very forward about it.
Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And Osric is like, no. And she's like, what?
What do you mean no? Nobody says no.
And he's basically like, I don't want you to do this and then you regret it. He's like, also, but she's like, but I'm coming to you. And he's like, yeah, but you kissed me earlier and then you regretted it. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah. Right? I don't want you to regret. That doesn't, he's like, that doesn't feel good. No. And he sees in her eyes that is something that might happen. So it's like he's battling himself because he's like, wait, I want to be with her, obviously. Yeah, like, but
what if I just wrecked my only chance?
Oh my god, this is really relatable where it's like, okay, this person that I want to be with is finally like, okay, let's do this, but I know that it's not in the context of how I want it. I want them to want me and to know my worth. Yeah. Which is what happens because Risa goes, okay, well, I know my worth then. Like, she gets all mad, and then he's like, yeah, I know my worth too. Yeah. Which was so wonderful to see that type of talk from a man. Yes. Because I think men are sometimes looked at or shown to be like these sexual, like, beasts who can't
control themselves and say no, and they're just like, I'll take it, whatever you throw at me.
Whereas Osric is like, no, I like you and I see what you've gone through, and if we're gonna have sex, which I want to do, I want you to feel good about it, and it wouldn't also feel good to me. Yeah. like me as a person, not just as this like sexual being, as like a man who's like this whatever, right? Because men can end up dehumanizing themselves too, but actually I'm this person with feelings.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to say, when I read it, when she says, I know my worth, and he says, so do I read it as he was saying that about her.
What?
Yeah, like, so do I. Like, I know your worth too.
Oh, that's not how I read it.
But yours makes more sense, and I like that better.
Okay, I didn't even... Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, but I feel like that makes...
I thought he was sticking up for himself.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay.
But just when I had read... The 2 times that I read it, when he said it, I took it as him saying, so do I. It's like, yeah, I also know your worth. That's why I'm saying no.
But maybe that speak to exactly what I'm talking about.
I think
like,
it's saying this exact same thing.
Men are not perceived as someone who might actually say that might turn down sex in order to, like...
The response, I think, means the exact same thing, no matter what with that.
Both to respect the woman, but respect themselves, too. But then later it was really funny because when Oren was with Risa, she says, did something happen between you and Osric? And then Risa says, me? That loud? Of course not. And then like a couple lines later, she says, honestly, me and him, the very idea. And Oren's like,
okay.
Sounds like it like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
I did not want to sleep with him at all. That didn't happen. Oren, stop saying things like that.
Yeah, no, no. I know. He's stinky.
Those tree trunk thighs.
These are all quotes. We did learn in that scene about Polly.
Yes.
Where she says, I want to be a saddle.
She's still just so angry.
She's
right?
So
this was actually,
angry.
Like, just, I felt it was, like, humorous. Where she's just still so mad at her. Like, you fucking took me away from such a great place, and...
I was having fun!
Yeah, and she's still, like, clean off drugs at this point, and she's still mad about it.
Yeah.
But she, no, like, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And pretty much is like, Oren, give me some money and a bath, and then I'm getting out of here.
But I think it speaks to the previous conversations we've had, right? Like, when we talked about Risa's experience being a sex worker, where it's like, yeah, it was her choice, but if she had other choices and other opportunities, maybe that's not what she would have chose, versus people who genuinely want to be in it and feel empowered by it. And so we did see a difference with Polly, where she's like, no, this is what I want.
Yeah. And I think also just seeing their relationship.
I'm not here just because of a lack of choice. This is what I choose.
Yeah, like, I want to do this. And then just seeing that relationship change, where it was they have started off wanting the same things.
And Risa Risa changed.
Yeah, them growing and then just being like, okay, like, and which is a very, like, relationship thing that happens with, like, friendships or whatever, that you might go in 2 different, like, directions. And
oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah, that is really good.
Yeah.
Example of just how you can grow and change and want different things, and it brings you in different directions.
Yeah. And I don't think, it was, like, any ill will really between them, even though she was, like, pissed off, but it was still like, okay, like, you want this, I want that, we're gonna just go our separate ways. So, see ya, Polly.
Bye, Polly. Okay, let's talk about this big ending.
Ugh. Manu, you're the worst.
Are you saying Manu?
Manu.
I mean, I don't know what the right one is. I say Manu, though.
I think I know someone with the last name Manu, and so that's why I always say Manu, you're the worst.
He kidnaps Oren. One of his guys stabs Risa. It's like, I'm disappointed.
Yeah. Christine just sneezed and blew her headphones off her head.
We're okay. We're professionals. We're professionals here. It was a good twist with these books, but it did make me really sad because I want Manu to be good, even though I understood throughout this that he was not on her side. I wanted it to pay off a little bit, that he was a little bit nice to Oren, and then it would turn out, but that's not what happened.
No, it's not. So he does take her. She wakes up in another locked somewhere again. And this lady comes out. The mean queen. I don't know how to say this. How do you say it?
I know I was thinking about this. I was thinking Isolde or Isolti.
Isolde I like.
Isolde?
Yeah.
I think in my head I was probably saying isolate.
I 100% was saying that in my head was isolate.
But it's very obviously not how it's said.
And so anyways, she wakes her up, starts calling her Lady Cheat. I was like, okay with the attitude.
She's very judgmental.
Yes. And she almost like she's just like she seems just like a very mean nun.
Yes. But she does have a really cool but awful power, which is the pain power.
She like rubs her, I guess, pointer finger and thumbs together, and it's just like pain shoots through your body, I guess. I just like what you have, there.
Okay. It seems like she favors control and obedience and hierarchy, and they mask it as morality.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if we see it as a subjective person reading this book, it's like we can very obviously see, like, oh, that doesn't feel very ethical.
Yeah.
Right? But in her eyes, in her very narrow-minded, this is right, this is wrong, very black and white, she sees it as that. But then I also, like, questioned myself, because then I was like, okay, but I guess morality is subjective. Like, one person thinks is moral, as right and wrong, is going to be different than someone else. But then we just get into a deep rabbit hole. But it very obviously, like, you can get into what's right and wrong. And you can, because you have these very strict rules, you can forget the gray.
Yeah.
And you can start to forget that your own behavior becomes immoral in the favor of being moral. Like, it becomes very backwards.
Yes.
I guess.
It's a very good explanation of what happens in the
This is just
scenes.
my nonsense coming out, and I'm still trying to make sense of it.
I just want to say one quote that she does say to her.
To make us sad?
Nope. No, it's not. No, it's Oren speaking to her when she's telling her about, like, the conflict. So this is before she takes her anywhere. She goes, because I do not relinquish myself to the conflicts, so you can suck my gold and go to hell.
Yes.
And I just like, yeah, Oren, that's great.
Yeah, I love her defiance.
Right? It's so great.
Like, I don't have control of the situation, but I can be really mean to you.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she puts her through, like, a bunch of shit, and it's awful. And then walks her down. Then they get there, and there's all the kings and queens of the different areas. Obviously not Slade.
Yeah, oops, we forgot his invitation.
So weird.
I don't know how that happened. We do have King Thold.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him, it did seem like
because he's first.
I think he's first.
And they had just... Like, I think Judd had gone to speak to him about...
Yeah, we know that.
Okay, yeah, about opening up the trade and stuff. So, yeah, he doesn't really seem like 100% into it, but I think it's...
Peer pressure.
Yeah, peer pressure gets you.
Peer pressure. So we do see him hesitate. Now, I don't want to give him too much credit.
Yes, and Kayla speaks at this trial. I am losing it written down because I was so angry because she replayed, like, with her power, the words that were spoken when Midas died. And she takes things out. She changes some words to obviously make it look like Oren
Well, she doesn't change his word. She just puts it in a different... It's
no, because she replays the conversation between Oren and Lou and changes it from Rip to Ravenger.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. Like, says, oh yeah, something blah 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 with Rip.
Oh.
And changes it so she says Ravenger instead.
Oh, so her manipulation is, like, really beyond. So, you know what? Maybe that's my hope too, is that
Queen Kayla dies?
No.
Yes, same.
No, but it just, as the story goes on, maybe we'll learn more about what is in Queen Kayla's head.
I think just power. She wants more and more power.
I know, but even that small manipulation, that tells me that there's more going through her head. I don't know. Or
I think she really just believes that she's guilty, and she's like, I need her, so I'm going to twist this.
I don't think that she thinks that she's guilty, though.
Yeah,
I think it's just like she is useful in whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. And then Oren just thinks, like, because she starts kind of yelling, like, no, like, that was my power. He stole it, and she just, like, thinks, like, my voice is inconsequential.
Oh my god.
And I hated that because everyone's just yelling, guilty, like, guilty. And I'm like, this is like the Salem witch trials. Nobody's actually, it's not a trial because they're not.
Well, no, they already knew what they were going to do before they
Yeah.
did it. Yeah.
It was pretty much Queen Kayla said all that. It was like, hey, she's guilty. Oren got like 2 words in.
This was a reread, obviously, but I had to skim it. I couldn't like immerse myself in it again. I couldn't.
And I remember reading the first time and like
intense.
texting you because I was so angry.
Yeah.
I decided to put myself through that again.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go through that again.
It's just okay. I was mad. But Slade comes. Oh, just like a superhero that he is, and he is angry.
Okay, you know what I really loved about this was they kept trying to reason with him. Queen, I don't know if it was Queen, I think it was Queen.
Isolate.
Where she was like, "Oh, we're helping you,"
yes.
or whatever her words were.
Yeah.
And Slade does not even give her anything. He just keeps repeating, "Let her." Like he does not even. I'm not even getting into the.
Yeah, because you guys don't care.
You're saying nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what I want. This is what's going to happen if you don't do what I want.
Yeah.
I know that you're irrational.
Yeah.
This is why I didn't want to be here. So if you think you're going to manipulate me into some kind of conversation where we're going back and forth, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, and then her gold which was your drink, when her gold starts seeping out, there's the black lines in it from the rot that's still left in her.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're even more like, see?
Yeah.
The hussy.
Hussy, yes.
Stole his magic. I do really just hate this whole part.
So he tries to get her out of like whatever thing is confining her, but instead he accidentally creates another rip in the world.
Yeah.
And so
I do love, like, right away she said she could, like, she knew it was Anne when it opened up.
Yeah.
Like she could, like, smell it.
Yeah.
And then I think he said, I meant to make a rip to you.
Yeah. And he says, I'll find you, Goldfinch, I swear to you. Now fly. Riot ends up showing up. Yeah. So Riot obviously followed him and
also and then saved Argo. That was a whole upsetting part.
That was very upsetting. That was really horrible. So I'm really happy that Riot saved the day.
Argo lived, and Argo likes cookies. Was another thing I really liked knowing from this.
Yes,
that he likes cookies. In case anyone's wondering.
They do go back to Drillard Village, and the rip is gone. So we learn that.
And everyone else.
And everyone's gone.
Their mother's
including
gone.
Their mother.
Yeah.
Raven Kennedy really does these endings as if she wants to rip your heart out.
Yep.
So that's what's happening. But we do end. So we end with that, but then we get a last chapter with Queen Melina.
Yes, I do want to say, before we go to Melina, there's so many, obviously, stuff, but, like, I think the relationship with him and Riot. But when he does, like, show up to go there with him, and Rip says, like, I'm going to Deadwell, and it's like, you're coming with me? And he acts surprised. He's like, I'm your brother, of course I'm fucking coming with you. And then he says, like, I study his face, see the determination and fierce loyalty radiating through him, and I nod, because at the end of the day, no matter how hard things are between us, no matter how many arguments we get into, we're brothers, he has my back, and I have his, and that's all there is to it. I just really liked that. I thought it was just a nice little...
I know.
Little bro moment. And there's so much stuff that happens with them in this book, but I just loved that part for them at the end there. Like, brothers.
Yeah, we want them to be okay. Especially considering how this second half.
And another thing with them, I do like, where they get in a big fight, and then, like, Oren's kind of understanding it, and she's like, well, like, what does Riot want?
Oh.
And she's kind of looks at them and like, oh, like, you've never asked him what he wanted.
In terms of him pretending to be fake, to be Rip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has anyone asked what Riot wants?
Yeah.
You know,
and,
if
like,
he's
the wrath
not
is kind of like,
if he's not fake Rip, what does he want? And everyone's like, oh, we've never asked him what he wants.
Which, like, oh, Riot's angry, throwing, like, a thing, and Oren's like, hey guys, maybe just ask him.
Maybe just ask him. Yeah.
That's all he wants. That part is just like, yes, Oren. Another little therapist thing for her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I forgot. I did want to, I mentioned that. I like that she just pointed that out. And they're like, oh. Duh.
Yes. I love that part because it was like sometimes you're like not Team Riot, but in that moment you're like, yeah, I'm so Team Riot. You guys, come on.
Yeah.
The basics. Okay, so Queen Melina. We end with Queen Melina, and she ignored the assassin's attempt to turn her, to make her think, right?
Yeah,
so
he's like, pay attention.
This is too good to be true. This is a classic story of too good to be true.
And she does like mention a part, she notices like this mist everywhere in like random areas. She kind of comments, and then he comes to her and saying like, no, like open your eyes, pay attention. Obviously, yes, ignores.
Because she's sad. This is all she has. Okay, I want to be a queen. But anyway, they bring her out to the spot, and she says, I am Queen Melina Collier of the Collier royal bloodline, and I willingly give my blood to restore what was lost and to gain what is now.
New.
New. And she gives her blood. And bad stuff happens.
The bridge is restored, and the Fae are coming in.
That is a huge ending.
My question also was, like, how are they coming in? Because isn't their side broken?
Well, she restored the bridge. That was the magic. She restored it between Orion and Fae. Yeah. Okay, and so as soon as she did that, the Fae were coming through. Yeah.
But, like, how did they know?
They were ready. What do you mean they're ready for it?
How are they, like, communicating?
Friano and Faso have magic powers
to communicate with them.
They got to Orion. We don't know.
I know.
We don't know what.
Okay, just ignore my questions. I just really.
Okay.
Casting Call Glow Part 2.
So, we have a bunch of people.
Yes.
Let's start with the really bad lady. Because I think before I had gotten back into my Glow reread, I forgot her name, so I just wrote it down in our notes.
You forgot a lot of people, so you literally just had bad lady advisors.
Yeah. I don't even want to know what I originally had for Friano and Faso. Oh, I think I had just had twins. Queen Isolde Mariwin.
Yeah, sure.
Queen of the Second Kingdom and first matron of the Gathering of Temperance.
Okay, who do you have?
I have Michelle Yao.
Ooh. Yeah, that's really good. I like yours. I mean, I like mine too, but I think I really like that.
Yeah, and she's in lots of things, but just like, I think her Oscar win was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Did you watch that?
I watched most of it.
I loved it.
Okay. It was cool, but I was kind of annoyed of it too.
Oh, I loved it. I've heard also mixed things from people, but I loved it.
But she's great.
Yeah.
And I think she would do a really good job at it.
I agree.
She's very likable, but also, like, she could play a villain really well.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen her in stuff where she's kind of mean.
Probably.
I feel like she can do anything.
Okay, who's yours?
Naomi Watt.
Oh, yeah, she could do mean.
Yeah, but I like yours better.
Okay.
Yeah, but I like mine, but that was, if I was a casting person.
Yeah, Michelle Yao gets it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the family. So the Stray, are we saying Stray or Straya family?
Oh, I don't know. I literally just have here 2 fourth advisors and Barley.
Oh, okay. We have Workin, Easily, and Barley.
Yeah.
Straya, or Stray, which are, that's Keg's family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have Angela Bassett and Jamie Foxx.
Ooh.
Yeah. But then I was also looking, and I was like, I feel like Angela Bassett and her husband would also just be great.
I don't know.
Because I feel like he's like in the show, but he's acted, maybe he like writes more. Courtney B. Vance.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I also think he's a
known actor, for sure.
Yeah. So, like, he would be great. I also watched the Uglies movie on Netflix, and the parent duo in that, I was like, oh, but they would also be really good. Charmin Lee and J. Devon Johnson. Mm-hmm. So they were the parents in that. Obviously, it was because I was just reading it and it came up. I'm like, oh, But they're also really good. Okay.
So mine is the Smith family.
Okay, I did look at Will Smith at one point.
Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Willow Smith.
Oh, is Willow Smith Barley?
Yes.
Okay, that's...
Who else in their family? Jaden Smith.
He's Keg?
Now, this scene really made me go, okay, Keg cannot be Al Roker.
No! I'm surprised he thought he was so old.
That was a misstep. Keg is not Al Roker.
No.
Keg is...
David David.
That's a good choice, for sure. Who is Will Smith's older son? Well, anyway, Keg is going to be Jaden or the older son. But yeah. I'm just going to insert the whole Smith family into this one. And they'll do it well. You know what I was thinking of too? Because in these scenes when we learn that it's Keg's family and their names are all about beer. Yeah. It did remind me of that movie with Ashley Judd and Natalie Portman, where Natalie Portman is really pregnant and then she gets left out of Walmart.
Yes, we had the VHS of that.
Yes, and then she is friends with Ashley Judd, and then all of Ashley Judd's kids are like desserts or like bakery names, and she has a daughter named Praline.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me
of. So my Barley, since you just gave a whole family to it, is Danielle Brooks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I really like that choice for Barley. Like I really stand by that one for her.
Yeah, I'm not dying on a hill of this casting. It's
a great casting. I mean, it made it really easy.
Do you have a Friano and Faso?
So I was like trying to think of like how I actually picture them, and then I'm like, do I just pick one person for them? Mm-hmm. So I did end up doing that. Honestly, I wanted to be like Stanley Tucci.
I mean, I feel like Stanley Tucci could do it.
Yeah, I feel like he could. I ended up picking Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård.
He played It. No, nothing.
Oh. Are you talking about like a new It?
Yeah, yes, the new It, sorry.
I don't know. I didn't even know there was a new It.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Do you know who he is?
No, I don't.
Oh my god, Christine. He's in so many good things. He's also just in The Crow, but I've heard bad things about it.
Maybe that's what I recognized him in The Crow.
But he's in like the new one. Like he just has that beautiful, creepy face. Mm-hmm. Where I feel like he could be like, oh, yes, welcome.
He'd be a good Lucian.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe too creepy for Lucian. I don't know.
Nope.
A sense of humor?
I think he does in real life.
Mine is Thomas Lennon.
Okay, yeah. I like mine better.
Okay, whatever.
I mean, when I do that, it's a good... Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Reno 911.
Yeah.
17 again.
Yeah.
Which is how I found him. I had been picturing his face and I couldn't
remember his 17
name, and
again.
then I was like, 17 again. I feel like
I love that movie.
I like it too.
I feel like I've maybe watched it like 6 times.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, like just over the years randomly. Like if I see it on something, I'll click. I'm like, I can watch this again.
17 again. Okay, MVP?
Oh, MVP. Again, I don't like picking Oren, but I really want to give it to Oren. I think we, again, highlighted those reasons. I feel like the quotes that we did, all that. I do also, I feel like can't give it to Lou again, even though she gets those really great, like, lines in.
She's so funny, though.
I know, like, she deserves it. And, like, Judd also deserves it. But, like, didn't do as
Pick one.
I'm going to give it to Rissa.
Oh. After all of those, you're gonna give it to her.
Because she did, which we didn't really talk about, she, I think, is trying to put herself out there more. And then she does say to Osric, which we didn't say, like, I think, or to Oren, that she wants to stay. Like, she kind of did some shitty things, but also, like, just turning her life around in that way. And helping a friend get through that shitty stuff. Which would suck. Just, yeah, she had like a small part in this one, but...
Yep.
So I'm going to give her second to Oren.
Okay.
Because I think Oren really, she could like control her magic
She did a lot.
She, with the riot thing, I really liked that. Like, just her being like, hey guys.
Yeah.
Bunch of idiots.
Oh, hey, Riot was my runner-up.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do think we, like Raven Kennedy does so well, we get bad vibes from people who are like, no, they're bad. I don't like them. And I think we get this from, like, Melina. We're like, Melina. And then we start to see layers of Melina. And then I think we do the same thing with Riot. And maybe even Risa.
Yeah, which I think is just, again, Raven Kennedy. Yay.
Great character development. Yeah. And so we see this from Riot where we warm so much to Slade that then we start to be on his side, but then we start to see, oh, okay, maybe Riot has a point. And then Slade goes and, you know.
I think there's just so much.
He starts to see that.
Yeah. But just even like Riot as a kid and then Riot as an adult and
you're like, maybe he has a right to be really angry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when I ended up, my MVP is Osric. And I know that
I'm so good at picking MVPs.
I know that there's big stuff though, because I think my instinct is to obviously be Orin, Rip, and those are very obvious.
It's hard to not.
But I think if I'm just thinking about my experience in the ending of this book, or the second half of this book anyway, that quote with Osric was really big for me, I think. To be able to see a representation of a man and his relationship with sex and his self-confidence and his considering his own emotional well-being alongside a woman's, because sometimes we get the representation of, oh, this man's really nice and he's considering her feelings, but we don't always get more emphasis on his own and his own self-confidence.
And I think especially with like his looks outwardly,
right,
how you immediately just assume how he would
he's gonna be.
Yeah.
So that's a good like juxtaposition to see that too, of a very manly man.
Osric, I wish you were real.
He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do still imagine him stinky though.
It's fine. Take it with those tree trunk thighs. Yeah, that's a really good one. I like that. Just like, I think even like how you were saying with like the Melina Rissa thing, she's so good with like the character development, but also just making it so like, yeah, like real life, like people.
Those are people.
Aren't perfect, and we all have like, yeah, I don't really like that you did that, but like, you're also not an awful person. Like you. Or there's reasonings for why you're behaving this way, and
so let's make sure we finish reading Gold, so we can talk about it then.
Yeah.
Because we already have our Goldfinch books. We have them. We just can't open them yet.
Can't touch them. It's awful.
It's really
awful.
It's hard.
I've been waiting. Actually, not that long as a lot of people have been waiting. I feel like, but still, I absolutely hated the ending of this book. At the same time. Because then when I had to start the next one, I'm like, Orin and Slade are not together.
Oh, I remember even the first time you read this series, and I think you messaged me about it, and you were like, what?
Because you were like, no, it's not like... like, he's going to find her right away, though, right?
Immediately. It's like, just go with the journey.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what we keep forgetting to do? You know,
lots of
really...
things.
Lots of things. What's really helpful is to give us 5 stars and follow and follow along on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and we're as present as we can. And
you don't even have to give us 5 stars. 4.
No.
But with a comment saying, hey guys, maybe talk more about Osric and his tree trunk thighs.
Give us a comment about Osric's thighs. What else? Give us a comment about how Midas sucks. Give us a comment about who's your Friano and Faso, importantly.
Or who's your Slade. That's still something.
Well, Jamie, that's it's very selfish of her. She needs to find a Slade.
And I would just love to see more men that people picture as Slade.
Yeah.
Just for my eyes.
Okay, bye.
Bye.